Hello and welcome to tonight's broadcast of Running on Love with God. My name is Lori Michelle, and I was awakened to the voice of God in April of 2009. And here I am many years later broadcasting and posting on social media, sharing his wisdom when we need him the most. I'm in Israel, and Anna Marie, my friend, is in Chicago. Hi, Anna Marie. And tonight's topic is about happiness. I'm going to start with the title of the program and do a little Q&A. So the title of this program is a Q&A question. Why is negative thinking so dangerous, and what's the cure? Why is it so dangerous? It's so dangerous because of where it emanates from. Negative thinking emanates from the evil inclination, the opposite of God, the Yetzer Hara, which is also known as Satan. And so what's the cure? Learning to reach for God in every moment and avoiding negative thinking and negative behavior at all costs. And with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Anna Marie, and you can ask me questions.
Good, because my first question is, that sounds easy, what you just said, but when life throws all kinds of terrible things at you, how on earth can you rise above what the negative things going on in your life and get to a more positive place?
Unfortunately, or fortunately, for tonight's program, I am an expert in lifting myself out of the dumps. I have had in my life, especially in the past decade, my share of hardship. I went deaf, I got divorced, I lost everything, and here I am smiling and talking about how to be happy, how to avoid negative thinking. And I posted this picture, which a lot of people liked, and I will show it to you. This picture of a happy face and a sad face, and it says, happiness isn't always possible, but you choose what's next. Choose God and smile knowing you're in good hands. And the good has parentheses around one of the O's, because what is the best way to lift yourself out of unhappiness is reaching for God, knowing that he's real, and taking the bricks off your shoulders and understanding that you're not in charge of everything. And by lifting that pressure off your shoulders, Anna Marie, you relinquish your control to God. And in that is joy, a lightness.
Do you have any techniques for how you do that? You say reach for God. How do you make that happen?
Well, there are definite ways and things that you can do every day, all day long, to reach for God and keep reminders in your life present, physical reminders. In Torah, Moses was given a commandment to give to the Jewish men, because men are very susceptible to the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. And he was told to tell them to make fringes for their garments. And if you've seen religious men, they have, it looks like tassels hanging from their clothing. Mm-hmm. And they're supposed to touch those tassels and remember that God is real and that he gave the Jewish children commandments and to follow and obey those commandments. But there's more than that. There's a prayer that I wasn't even aware of until my 40s called the Shema, and it's in the Torah, and it's a reminder to love God with all your heart and all your soul, and to reach for him, and to teach your children about him, but also to put this prayer on the doorposts of your house. So if you've ever gone to a Jewish home, there's a little, it's called a mezuzah, And it's an ornament that is on the front door and on all the doorposts throughout the home. And growing up, we only had one on the front door, so I thought it was an announcement that we were the Jewish family in town. I had no idea that this was a reminder and a commandment from God himself to put these reminders everywhere. Now, this is for the Jewish children, of course, but a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, any person can put reminders everywhere and remember throughout the day that he's real, he knows everything. It's remarkable. I don't know how he knows. It's not for us to know or understand everything about him, but just to relieve the pressure off your shoulders and turn it over to him and put reminders everywhere. And remind yourself throughout the day and into the night that he's there, he's available, and he's in charge.
Is the power of negative thinking as strong as the power of positive thinking?
He says no. But what I will tell you what will happen with negative thinking. Negative thinking is contagious and it opens the door for evil. What do I mean by that? Negative thinking is an open pathway for the Yetzer Hara. And the Yetzer Hara loves you to think negative thoughts, be depressed, be down, because the Yetzer Hara is, I want to say competition to God, but it's really a tester. It's not, there is no competition to Hashem God. He is everything. But it's meant to test us. And the minute you allow that negative thinking in, and the negativity in, let's say you're surrounded by people who are complainers. And, oh, it's just a miserable day. Oh, life's so hard. And then you die. All these sayings that people say. And, or people, I don't know if you know people who are just plain old negative. If you ask them, hi, how are you? And they'll say, surviving. I know people like this. They're very negative and very downhearted. It's contagious. And the minute you let that negativity into yourself, you start feeling that downward pull. And it's very dangerous because it takes you off your path, which is to serve God and bring godliness and goodness and joy into this world.
What should you do if you're with one of those people who is always negative?
Walk away.
You can't help them? You shouldn't try to.
You can try. You can try. But people who are like that, who are habitually negative, may not be able to be helped until one day maybe they will wake up. But it's really not your job to lift everybody else's soul, although you can be joy and you can be an upliftment in this world, and you're meant to be that. But if you know someone who's constantly complaining, a naysayer, if you say the glass is half full and they say, no, it's half empty, we're all going to die and the economy's going to tank, you can't be around that. And my father, may he rest in peace, always said, Lori, negative people are like cancer. He says, when you're around negative people, run. He told me, run away, get away from them. And surround yourself with uplifting people, people who want the same things out of life.
When you're going through tough times, is acceptance of the tough times as good as being positive, or is it a different thing?
Well, I posted that post and it says happiness isn't always possible. So I went deaf. I went to a doctor and doctor said, you're going deaf. And I was petrified. And if you think I was happy, I wasn't. I cried. I screamed for God. And I prayed, please help me. So it's not always realistic to be happy in every moment, Anna Marie. It's
Right.
life brings you ups and downs. So what do when you're down? You reach for him. You give your pain and suffering to him, and you do reach for a level of acceptance. I literally had an anxiety attack. I had one. It feels like a heart attack. When the doctor said I was going deaf, I started shaking and I couldn't even breathe. So what did I do once I calmed down? I spent the next day accepting that I was going deaf. I went online. I researched, what does it mean going deaf? What are my alternatives? Do I need to learn how to sign? I moved towards despair to acceptance. And I also accepted that God is in charge of everything, and he decided that I was going deaf for a purpose. I didn't know the purpose. And when you are a believer in his omnipotence and that he is all good and all knowing and that everything that happens to us is for our good, it's easier to move into that level of acceptance because he's pure love and pure goodness.
In your introduction to today's program, you said we will discuss negative thinking and how dangerous negativity is to your mental health. My question is it also dangerous to your physical health?
Absolutely. Your mental health and your physical health are tied together. So there's a lot of misconceptions about mental health and what causes mental illness, what causes depression. A lot of doctors will tell you it's biological and genetic. Mm-hmm. And there is a physical component to happiness. When you get depressed and negative and you do the wrong things and you reach the wrong way, you reach for drugs, alcohol, food, it becomes a physical manifestation of depression. Your chemistry is all out of whack. You're doing all the wrong things. So it manifests as a physical disability. It can be physically debilitating. And there's a lot of people who believe, and he says it's true, that all of these negative thoughts and negative thinking and negative behaviors can lead to illnesses like cancer. Truly.
So when negative thoughts start to intrude in your brain, you should just avoid them? I mean, try to think of something else? Or should you at that time start praying?
We should always be in prayer. And I can tell you now, I pray all the time. 24/7, I'm talking to him all the time. But before I could hear Hashem God in English, I used to pray all the time as well. There's an upliftment that you get from prayer, from turning it over to him. But it's not the only answer, meaning you need to do the hard work of lifting your spirit. You can stay in prayer all day and all night, but you still need to eat. You need to exercise. You need to work. You need to do things in this physical world. Not all of us are the Pope or a learned rabbi who can spend 24 hours a day in prayer, right? You have to function. And when I was going through my hardship, what looked like the ultimate blessing, I could hear God, became my ultimate nightmare. Nobody believed me. And I write about it in the book that I'm about to release, but I won't go there right now. But I will tell you, I fell into such dark despair because I started losing friends and family and everything. And what did I do? I formed a charity called Running on Love in the middle of my despair. Why did I do that? Because running is what Hashem told me back when I started running was the Lord's dance. All you need is a good pair of shoes, sneakers, and go out and run. And what running does is it increases your endorphins. They call it the runner's high.
Mm-hmm.
And there are physical benefits from running. Aerobic activity is very, very good for your mental health. So I started running marathons, but also giving. The act of being charitable also increases endorphins, brain chemistry, bringing you joy. So all of those things, prayer also increases joy, physical activity and giving, love.
Okay, so those are more techniques that you can use when you're falling into negative space.
When you're falling into negative space, one of the best things you can do is get out of your own way. Help someone else. Someone else has it harder than you, even though you think that your world is collapsing and it's just the worst news in the world. When I was going deaf, I just couldn't imagine anything worse. I thought my life was going to end. And I remember going to a Mets baseball game at Citi Field. And God put me right in front of a woman who sat in front of me, and she was missing a limb. She was missing a hand. And I'm not saying that you should look at everybody else who has it worse and, oh, I don't have it that bad. But it put things in perspective. I watched this woman have a wonderful time. She was happy and joyous, and she was missing a hand. And it was a signal to me that she's disabled and I'm disabled. I'm going deaf, and I can still find joy in this world. So I found strength from that. Get out of your own way. Look at someone else. Help someone else. We all have problems.
Right. Another thing you said in your intro was knowing there is truly a master of the universe removes the heavy load off our shoulders and brings meaning to life. To me, I find it kind of terrifying because there's that much responsibility on us and there's that much scrutiny on us.
Well, it's truly the opposite, Anna Marie. There is a lot of responsibility on you, but it's his world. He decides at the end of the day, and you don't have to carry that load. He's made decisions for you. You choose. You're a free human being. You're a free child of God, and he gives you the ultimate freedom to choose. But he guides you, he helps you, and everything he does for you is from love and goodness. So you can rest assured that everything in your life that comes from him was given to you through love and kindness and goodness. And so I don't really see it as pressure. I see it as gratitude. The ultimate king and master of the universe gave me all of this. How could I possibly feel scared or unhappy? I'm more frightened of people. I'm not frightened of God. I'm frightened of people who are self-serving and selfish and harm other people. They scare me. But I turn it over to him, and now he tells me in plain English that ultimately there will be a worldwide awakening beginning this year, 2018, where people will understand that he's real. And the evildoers, the people who are negative and hurting other people, will no longer have that power over the rest of humanity. We're going to wake up and have a recognition that we come from godliness and we will choose him in every moment. That's where we have to go as humanity.
You said earlier that if you're with a negative person, the best thing you can do really is to walk away. What if you're in a context where you can't walk away, like a business meeting that gets out of control, spiraling negative, or if you just work with people who are very negative? You can't walk away.
There are situations where you can walk away or you can stand up for yourself. You have to build muscle. And you have to be able to do that in every situation. You are not a slave to other people. So if you give me a specific example, like business, I can tell you how you would get up and walk away or stop the situation. You do not have to be a doormat or tolerate negative behavior in the workplace, in your marriage, anywhere.
Okay, an example is a business meeting that gets contentious, where people are on different sides of an issue, and instead of discussing it rationally and reasonably, people start resorting to personal attacks.
If I were in a conference room where that was occurring, I would literally change the dynamic, stand up and say, hold my hand up in a stop sign and say, stop. I'm not participating in this. This is beneath me. These personal attacks have no place in this room. When everybody wants to change the decorum and troubleshoot, I'll come back and I would leave the room. I would leave my job if my boss was debilitating and derisive and condescending to me. I wouldn't work for someone like that. But see, you have to be strong and you have to make the decision that you can't be bought. You know,
Right.
A lot of people stay in dysfunctional marriages because of money. They stay in dysfunctional jobs because of money. And you have to have the courage and the backbone to walk away. Or at least at first to stand up for yourself and state your case and say, I won't do this anymore. And if it continues, you should walk away. You shouldn't work in that situation. I have 3 amazing young adults as children. And I left my marriage, and children can speak out and speak back, talk back to you. And I didn't have a husband or a man in the house to speak up for me. And on different occasions, I put my foot down and said, you will not speak that way to me. There's the door. They're young adults. And I had to do that maybe once with each child. They never did it again. They're still my children. I love them, you know. But when you're in a situation where someone's condescending or talking in a nasty way to you, they have no right to speak to you that way. And I'm not saying that my kids were nasty. I'm just saying if there's a confrontation and you don't like how you're being approached, put your hand up and say, no, not in my office, not on my time, not in my space. There's the door. Or take the door.
Okay, so that would hold true at work as well as in any family relationships.
In every relationship. If you want respect, you give respect and you demand respect. Well, you don't have to demand it, you just state it. You will not talk to me that way. When you speak to me in a civil tongue, we'll have a conversation.
You said that negative thinking emanates from the Yetzer Hara. Explain a little bit more. I mean, what is the interest? Why would the Yetzer Hara want to create negative thinking? What's the point?
Well, the Yetzer Hara, also known as the evil inclination, also known as Satan, is an energy placed in this world that gives us an alternate choice from God. It's a tester. If God was all that was available to us, we would choose him, and then we would be puppets. We would be puppets on his string. And he does not desire puppets. He desires free children of God. Unlike mankind, men will make you slaves to each other. They want to control you. God does not want to control you, yet he has the ultimate control. So he created a negative, dark energy called the Yetzer Hara, and it's a lure. It's a tester. What are you going to do with that? And if you had to visualize it, visualize God standing there with his arms folded, watching what you're going to do with that. And imagine his ultimate joy when you choose him.
Why is it tempting to choose the negative energy?
It beats me. Because it feels so awful. Think about it.
Yeah.
It feels so awful, but think about how many people you know that have that negative, habitual way of thinking. Turn on the news, turn on YouTube. There's so much negativity in this world. It's mind-boggling. But the way the Yetzer Hara works is it's a lure. So it says something that you agree with, but slowly but surely it lures you away. Like, it's a nice day, Anna Marie. Yeah, you look around. You don't hear it the way I hear it in language. So, oh, it's a nice day. Yeah, it's a nice day. Oh, I don't need to do this work today. Let's just go play hooky and go to the beach. Oh, let's just go to the beach. You see, it takes you away from something you're supposed to be doing. Something looks better. And then you're walking to the beach and you see a chubby woman who's about 100 pounds overweight wearing a bikini. Oh, someone should have told her what to wear before she came out. That's how the Yetzer Hara talks. Very derisive, very nasty, evil speech, and gets agreement. Yeah. Yeah. I look better in my bikini than she does. That's Yetzer Hara. So, but it starts being benign, and it's harmless, but it's very harmful.
All right. I don't have another question. If you have anything that you want to wrap up with.
Well, I'll tell you how to beat the Yetzer Hara.
Okay.
You need to be a habitual thinker. There was a statue, I think, it's the thinker, like this.
Yeah.
You need to learn in every moment, discern and choose God and love. If the energy and the thought that enters your mind is negative or foul or something nasty, it's not of God. He doesn't speak that way. It's not part of his energy. He's patient, he's loving, he's strong, he's never derisive. So choose your thoughts carefully. Put reminders around your home. I don't know if you can see, well, I can probably, let me see if I have blessings. You see that behind me?
Yes.
Little hand. I have blessings all over my home. I have a coat rack. It says, life is better with love, right over there. I have reminders everywhere. I'm Jewish, so I have the mezuzah, so I'm always kissing the mezuzah and remembering him. I have the added attraction that I hear him day and night. But before I had him, I did all of that. I bought positive books. I engaged in positive thinking. I did journal writing. There's a lot of activities you can do to lift your spirit. So be a positive person and reach up, reach for him and put reminders around your home that He is real, He is pure love, and we are so blessed to have Him. I hope you enjoyed this program. I hope it made you feel a little more uplifted. You can choose to be happy, not always, but when unhappiness and sadness comes your way, reach up, get your God muscle going, and keep watching these programs, and go to lauriemichelle.net. There are many more programs on my website, and let's listen, learn, and work for peace. He says 2018 is going to be a magnificent year, and isn't that great news? So God bless you. Let's work for peace in our time. God bless you.